Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Today is Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023, and welcome to Simply Cards by Kathi. I'm Kathi Ondas. I am excited to share with you today a technique. It's called the Bokeh technique, or even known as the Bokeh effect. And I love it because it creates really fun backgrounds. Hi, Mary. Thank you for joining me. Really fun background. So if you're not familiar with the bokeh technique, it's a Japanese term, and it refers to something being out of focus or a blurred image. Um, and it's used a lot in photography. So we're going to recreate that bokeh effect or bokeh technique for a background for our cards. So today we're gonna make a card, but the whole video isn't so much about making the card as it is how to do this technique. And then when we get to the end, I'm going to show you two different cards using different colors to create this technique. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. Hi, Tracy. Thank you for joining me. I'm so happy if you're new and you found me. Welcome. We're happy to have you with me. And if you're returning or catching me on the replay, thank you so much for your support in helping me grow my channel. I am always excited to be here with you. So let's flip this camera down and we're going to get started. Now, the bokeh technique is a two-step process in card making. It's either sponging and blending and then masking. So what I mean by that is we are going to start, and I'm using a 3 3/4 by 5-inch piece of basic white, and I am going to bring in a piece of copy paper because it can get a little messy. And remember I said we're going to be sponging or blending. So to do that, you need some colors. So I've chosen today for my background pumpkin pie, crushed curry, and crumb cake. Now you need a 4th pad, and by the way, you can use as many colors as you want. I'm going to stick to the 3, and then you need craft white or whisper white ink. I am going to be using my blending brushes, and I tend to have one for each color family. So I'm going to bring those in. I have 3 of those. And then I'm going to be using a dauber for my whisper white. I'm going to set that off to the side. And one more thing we need is a mask. So what I mean by that is to create this blurred effect, I'm going to use circles. And this is one I've been using all weekend, but we're going to make a new one. Now you can use anything for your circles. I went ahead and used my stitched dies, the smallest circle, my stylish shapes, and that's the smallest one. And then I'm going to bring in my punches, and we're just going to go ahead and punch this is a 1 3/4 inch, and this one is a 1 1/4 inch. Now at one time, Stampin' Up! Had all kinds of circle dies, and if many people kept them. So use what you have. You know I'm big on use what you have, and just cut out some circles, and this is going to be our mask. So now we're ready to go, and I'm going to set that off. So you're going to start with one of your colors. So I'm going to start with my crushed curry. And I'm going to bring in my blending brush and just kind of tap off and start like we normally would with blending and just add some color. And you can lay down as much color as you want to. I'm not going to go real dark on this. And I'm going to add it in parts, and then we may come back and add a little bit more later on. But it's just kind of playing with colors. And One of the things I like about it, and I'm going to show you in a little bit, a color combination I wasn't crazy about and ended up not using it. Now, this is our pumpkin pie. So I'm going to pick up some of that. And again, this can be kind of dark. So I want to go over and just add in some light. Isn't that pretty? We're just going to keep adding a little bit, laying it down. And now let's come in with our crumb cake. Now I tried this earlier with wild wheat and crumb cake. And the colors were kind of close together and I didn't really like it. So I switched out the wild wheat for pumpkin pie. And because I'm making a fall themed card, I thought these colors went kind of well together. I'm just going to add a little bit more here. All right. I want to come in with the and brighten up my crushed curry here. And you can go as dark as you want. Now you can see I laid down a little bit more color than I would usually like to, but we're going to be able to pick and choose where we lay down that mask. I want to add just a little bit of, and I think we're pretty good. So let's close these up. And wearing them. Let's add a little bit here. All right, so we're good to go. So now is where we're going to use our mask and we're going to create that effect of being blurred or out of focus with our and I'm using a sponge dauber. Now you probably could use a brush. I've not tried that. And because I have laid down a little bit more ink here, I'm going to choose to use that area as one of my images where I lay down my craft white ink. So you can daub it. So I start off daubing it, but then I kind of drag it lightly through with my dauber. One, I don't want it to be too thick, and it is a thick ink, and it takes longer to dry. So I do use the dauber to kind of blend it through. And then let me lift that up. And here's the effect you get. Hopefully you can see that, the white. So let's keep laying that down. And over here, I'm going to do a partial circle. I hope you had a fun weekend and that you were able to get some crafting time in, or at least spend time with family, something that you enjoy doing that brings you some joy. I did some crafting and I spent time with my sister-in-law and some of the grandchildren. So it was a good weekend. And here I like to overlap the bubbles a little bit, or the circles, just to bring them in closer together here and there. All right, there's that one. Let's go down here and add another large one. Hopefully, I want to bring in a little bit closer here. So it takes just a little bit of time to do this, but it really is quick, and it gives you a really pretty effect for background. Now, when we get done with laying down this craft ink, a couple things you can do. It does take a little bit to dry, so you can just let it dry, or what we're going to do, because of being on video and limited time, I am going to use my heat gun on the lowest setting. If you have a Stampin' Up! Heat gun, your setting is number 1, and that's the lower setting, and it allows you to dry your inks. So let's come in here with another one. And you can do as many, I'm going to call them bubbles or out of focus circles, as you want to. I like more. I just think it adds a lot to the background. And you can see, I want to show you here. If you dab, you can see you get a little bit darker edge. I'm hoping you can see that. There you go. I really like to spread it with the dauber to kind of avoid that darker edge. And let's add one here. Now the cards I'm going to show you in the end are very different than the one we're making. I've used some other techniques with them, like heat embossing, to be able to add a little bit of interest to the card and some texture. With this, we're going to use some die cuts. Okay, there's that there. I'm going to come in down here at the corner, and I'm holding it down, but I'm just going to do a partial circle here, and you can see I'm kind of working it around. And then let's add just one up here, a partial. And I think we're good. Okay. Yep, I think that looks, I'm going to do a partial one here too. I don't like to leave any large areas where there isn't anything. So let me get rid of my craft white ink. And we are going to heat dry this. I'm going to add a little bit more light so you can see that. I'm going to put this on our first heat setting and just going to hit it lightly with my heat gun. We have a delivery coming to the door, and naturally the Goldens are there to greet everybody that comes. So I'm sorry about the barking. Okay, that looks good. So you can touch it, check it to see if it's dry, and it is. So we're going to use that now in our card, but let me pick that up so you can see it. So hopefully you can see the blurriness that those circles kind of add to that. So let's use it quickly in a card. And I am going to use my crumb cake for my card base. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Now don't worry, even for the technique, I am going to put a downloadable PDF, and it will be available a little bit later, by 6 o'clock today, on my right down below in the video description, so that you can download it and be able to do this technique. Now, for my card base, I did the crumb cake, but for the background, I cut pumpkin pie and crushed curry because I wasn't sure which one was going to look prettier. I don't know which one I like best. So I'm going to turn to you that are watching and say, do you like the crumb cake or the crushed curry or the pumpkin pie for the background? Well, let's go with the pumpkin pie. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this. To the pumpkin pie. I think it picks that color up a little bit from the crushed curry and the crumb cake. And we're going to go ahead and add that to our card base. And I am excited to show you the other two cards. Okay, well, here's that. Now, to add a little bit to this card, I cut from the Autumn Leaves stamp set. Yes, Mary, you can use an embossing, an embossing folder and emboss that image. And I have done it. I didn't do it for this one. But yes, you can. And it looks very pretty. So this was one that I flipped over because I did not like the way it's stamped. And always 2 pieces to your paper, and I do use them. You've seen me do that when I've kind of goofed on video, you know. And someone had said to me the other day, when things don't go right on the video, you don't get too worked up. I don't. I make mistakes like everybody else. But the thing that I do is I try not to let them get me down. And I just go ahead and keep working on them, and find a way to fix it. I don't try to cover up the mistakes when I make a mistake on video, simply because we all do it. And I think people want to know how to fix it. So I'm pretty transparent. I'm not perfect, and I don't try to be perfect. That's who I am. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to pop this one right here, right in the center, and we're going to add this one. I want to flip it this way. I like it in the other direction. So because this is going to lay on another die cut, you do not want to put any dimensionals on there, because it's only going to lift it up and make it harder. It's not going to look right. So I'm going to add a glue dot here and a glue dot here. And then I'm just going to add a few dimensionals over on my other leaves. So let's go ahead and add, I pulled out my minis now. And let's pop these off. My fingers are getting in the way of taking these off. Now the other 2 cards I'm going to show you are very different color combinations. And I hope you'll like them. I liked them. So there's that. I did cut my greeting already. It says, "I'm thankful." And I'm going to trim it down. Oh. Okay. And we're going to pop that up here, right here. And then I'm going to add a linen bow. I love linen bows. They're quick and easy, and I think they add a lot to the card. So let's pop this in right about here. And let's make a quick linen bow. And I'm just going to make a double one. If you've done the bokeh technique, leave me a comment. I'd love to know your thoughts on it and if you've used it before. So I'm just tying a double bow and going to pull that down and tighten it up. There we go. Oh, that looks good. Let's trim it off. And I'm just going to even that up a little bit. I like my bows a little bit uneven, so I don't mind that. I think it just gives it a little bit more dimension. And let's grab another glue dot and stick that down. And then I'm going to show you the other cards. And I'm just going to put this right here at the corner. Whoops. At the corner of that leaf. So here's a card, kind of with the dots. Now let me bring in the other two. Now this was the first one I made, and hopefully you can see that. This was done with soft sea foam, fresh freesia, and pool party. But then I heat embossed it with white. I used Versamark with my white embossing powder. And then over here, I used what did I use? Lost Lagoon. I first inked with my Versamark, applied Lost Lagoon, and then heat embossed that. So quick and easy card. Mary, you used a piece of mail bubbler to make the background. That's a great idea. Oh, I love that idea. I'm going to have to try that. Thank you for sharing that. So that's that one. And then the second one I did, I used boho blue. I used Lost Lagoon, and I used boho blue, Lost Lagoon, and then I used, um, gosh, I think it was Misty Moonlight. And I applied my craft ink, but then I cut a piece of boho blue and I heat embossed using the Season of Chic with the snowflake, and I used Versamark with the silver embossing powder, and I did the same on the front. So 3 different cards, 3 different ways to use this great technique. It's just a lot of fun. And let me bring it back to me. It's all about playing with the colors. Thank you, Mary. I'm glad you enjoyed the cards. Um, so you may come up with some colors that you like and don't like. Like I said, I had used wild wheat in place of the pumpkin pie, and I wasn't crazy about it. The colors didn't really, they were too close together. So play with it, have some fun. I'll be back with you on Friday, 11 a.m. We're going to do a fun fold. And I hope you have a great week. Stay safe, healthy. I really appreciate all of you, and have a great day.